Who the heck is Slender Man?
Three 12-year-old girls had a sleepover.
The suspects lured the victim into the woods, and all three of the girls are 12 years old.
Hello everyone, I'm Audrey Christine H. Tolling, and today we are diving into one of the most chilling cases that highlights the intersection of media exposure and antisocial behavior. Now, when I was young, I always believed that everything I saw online was factual. The simple stories that I saw on YouTube about conspiracies like mermaids, fairies, and aliens and aswangs were very much real to me. Around the time, the online media was the playground. My playground, and I consume what I can whenever I can. I never really was told that I should be cautious about the things that I hear, about what I watch, and what I read. And I'm not presenting that my parents are irresponsible. They do have limits in my screen time. But it was just that most of the time, my eyes were glued on the confines of my computer screen, and most of the time, I go unnoticed because I was both an obedient and a rule-breaking child. Best of both worlds. Now, the story that I'm about to share to you is a real life scenario of antisocial behavior that was set in 2014. Now, this was the famous case of the Slenderman stabbing case involving two 12 years old girls. This case shocked the world not only because of the age of those involved, but also because it raised unsettling questions about how fictional media can influence real life actions. During the time, I believe I was only 10 years old. But I still remember when the story first broke out. It left me and my friends quite uneasy. I remember taking a break from the online world of horror stories and focus on fantasy readings like Harry Potter or Percy Jackson. Yes, I'm a book nerd. But enough about me. Over the next few minutes, we'll unpack the case, explore its implications for media creation, and reflect on how exposure to certain content can shape behavior. Now let's get on to the story. In 2014, in Waukesha, Wisconsin, three friends were staying the night for a sleepover. Now, two of these 12 years old girls named Morgan Gazer and Anissa Weyer lured their friend Peyton Lutner into the woods and stabbed her 19 times. Miraculously, Peyton Lutner, which is the victim in this narrative, survived. When questioned, the perpetrators, which were the two 12 years old girls, explained that they committed the act of stabbing their friend to appease Slenderman, a fictional internet character born from the creepypasta stories. Yes. They believed that harming their friend would prove their loyalty to this Slenderman and protect their families from danger. This is the exact quote of Morgan Gazer.
I didn't want to do this.
What did you do with it?
Because I was afraid of what would happen if I didn't.
This case is a textbook example of antisocial behavior manifesting in young individuals as early as 12 years old. Antisocial refers, of course, to actions that go against social norms, often involving aggression, deceit, or disregard for others. In this instance, the girls' exposure to Slenderman stories online played their distorted perception of reality. While media exposure was not the sole cause, which we will dive into that later, it acted as a catalyst that validated their violent impulses. Now, media exposure here functioned as both a motivator and a validator, which was mentioned before. The Slenderman narrative provided a framework that the girls used to justify their actions. It's important to note, though, that not everyone, just like me, exposed to creepy internet stories will commit violence, as well as true crime documentaries. However, for impressionable individuals, especially children, media can blur the line between fantasy and reality. According to the police report, the head detective stated, in looking through the Gazer home computer, there was literally thousands of internet searches that were done. How to get away with murder? What kind of insane am I? She was searching these things ahead of time, said the the detective. Of course, the media exposure was not the only factor. The girls also struggled with mental health issues. Later on during the trials, Morgan Grazer was diagnosed early onset schizophrenia, which is extremely uncommon for her age. Her family revealed that her father also is a schizophrenic, which resulted to her having it. Aside from that, peer influence was involved at the time. The other girl, Anissa Weyer, didn't want to upset Morgan, believing she would unfriend her if she didn't do the act. Anissa at the time had no friends aside from Morgan, so she felt she needed to comply to Morgan's decisions and actions. And lastly, the developmental immaturity. Their inability to critically evaluate the Slenderman myth was compounded by isolation and a lack of adult intervention. This highlights a broader truth. Antisocial behavior often emerges from a combination of influences, psychological vulnerabilities, environmental stressors, and external narratives. Media exposures was one of the pieces of the puzzle, but it interacted with these other factors to create a dangerous outcome. So, what does this mean for the future? The Slenderman case underscores the need for responsible media creation and exposure moderation. This doesn't mean banning all horror or fantasy content. I mean, what am I gonna watch and read? It just means implementing safeguards. The case serves as a reminder that media is not neutral. It can shape behavior, especially when consumed without guidance. Now let's turn the lens inward. Do I perceive myself as manifesting antisocial behaviors inspired by media exposure? From what I told you early on from my access to the internet at an early age, you think it might be leaning into yes. But for me, the answer is no. While I engage with media daily, whether it's movies, games, or online stories, I approach it critically even at a young age, mostly because I had guidance. For me, media is a tool of knowledge and imagination, not a justification for antisocial actions. It's important to note that yes, media can inspire creativity, empathy, and learning, but it can also validate harmful behaviors if consumed uncritically. So I believe the key difference lies in awareness. Recognizing that media is a constructed narrative, allowing us to separate entertainment from reality. Ultimately, the lesson to be learned is very much clear. Media is powerful. Our responsibility is to engage with it critically, ensuring that it drives us towards empathy and understanding and not rather than violence. So thank you for joining in this discussion, and I hope you enjoyed watching this as much as I enjoyed making it. Thank you. Bye!